The Suburban was updated last year. We got 6 trims to choose from, different engine options to choose from. We're showcasing the 2026 Chevrolet Suburban Premier over jet black sky cool gray interior. The Premier that we're showcasing has magnetic ride control. That reads the road 1,000 times per second. This thing is nearly 230 inches long. I'm Anthony from Supercar Throttle. Imagine now, you're driving this large yacht on wheels, that length, with 8 inches of clearance, with that magnetic ride control. Is it going to be one of the most premium vehicles that you can option? The Suburban's going to have more of that truck-like design, similar to the Silverado, because it's the same front fascia. It incorporates into the LED headlights and daytime runnings, but they're not just LED headlights and daytime runnings. Check this out. When you lock or unlock the door, it has the animated feature, which is things that are found on Audi. Even BMW is now doing the same thing. So when you're thinking about the Germans, you actually get a lot of that coming into the American brand. LED fog lights, you're gonna have a little bit more chrome, bow tie badge blacked out. You can option that, or you could just have the standard, and underneath the hood is truly the recipe for success because it's the inline 6-cylinder 3.0 Duramax diesel. Now this is going to have 50 horsepower less than the V8 that comes standard and 12 pound-feet of torque more than the V8, but the towing is going to be better at 8,100 pounds. 4-wheel drive setup, and you're achieving 20 mpgs for the city, 24 mpgs for the highway. 305 horsepower, 495 pound-feet of torque paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission, achieving 20 mpgs for the city, 24 mpgs for the highway. But when you're looking for a land yacht, because you have a large family and you have a lot of goodies, this is the only way to go, because there isn't any competition unless you're going into GMC and even going up into Cadillac. Now, at the price that you're at, you can entertain a base Cadillac, but you only get one power option when you go that route. If you go into the Yukon, you could go into the XL and you get 2 different power options. You're gonna have the same wheel setup, so you're gonna have a 22-inch wheel. It starts off at a 20-inch. The base models get 18-inch, and the high country, you can get 24-inch wheels. How much more of a wow factor do you need for your Suburban? Now the cons that come into play, nearly $10,000 of upgrades. You gotta pay for the upgraded engine option, which is only around $1,000, so that's not so bad, and I would definitely tick the box to that. Some other cons is you got cylinder management when you go into the V8s, which, I mean, this damn thing is huge. What are you gonna save with cylinder management? Half a mile maybe? It's not even worth doing that to deactivate the cylinders and destroy the engine. That's why I would go to the Duramax diesel and a max payload up to 1,977 pounds. And if you were thinking, well, does it have the animated lights in the rear? It does, and they're LED lights. Check out the feature here. As well as getting a digital rear view mirror, a 360-degree reverse camera, quad exhaust tips, reverse parking sensors. I mean, all these things make me attracted to the vehicle. I mean, let me know in the comments. Would you go into the Suburban or the competition? Click the like, click the subscribe, because all these clicks help with the algorithm so we can bring more vehicles to the channel. And before I forget, 6'3", if you didn't already know, this is another thing that a lot of competition doesn't do. Look at that. I can open this, throw my groceries in there so I don't have to wait that 10-15 seconds to open the power liftgate. 305 horsepower. It's very similar to the Hummer EV in the sense of the way it lifts up. Not necessarily so much, because the torque, it's still a smooth drive though with 22-inch wheels. The roads are quite good in Florida. 8 inches of clearance, you feel like you got a lot more. The reality to these vehicles, nearly 230 inches. It's long, it's wide, it's a demanding type vehicle, and it has a lot of room in the cockpit. These vehicles are basically like giving you a first-class seat in every row. Maneuverability, you have enough capabilities to do things. The steering itself is pretty light for the most part, so more luxurious. I like that you can see when you turn on your signals in the gauge or in the center cluster, but it should be in the gauge cluster. It's a little bit of a disadvantage there, but it is still a driver focused setup, so it does make it easier in that category. You do have 17.7 inches of screen configuration. This is all Google based, Google Maps, Google Play, Google Assist, wireless connectivity. But I mean, look how damn large this thing is. It can be an eyesore at times. I like going into the Silverado. I think it looks cool and sporty. But when you start putting it into these large SUVs, I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is just a little bit more of an eyesore because it's not as flush into the dashboard as the Yukon. And even the Escalade is going to look a little bit more cleaned up and polished because they lift up the door panels here, even though you got that oval styling for the 50 whatever inch screen size. And then you're still going to have the same size digital rear view mirror in all vehicles, even though you got a larger vehicle. And that being said, we do have the 360-degree reverse camera, so I might as well show it to you here. You can see the side to side. You can also see the side to side in the front. And when you take that off, you have the pinch and the swipe. Just wanted to change it up a little bit to give you the actual tutorial of these screens while the drive goes on, because I mean, how much more are you going to do with this infotainment screen? So when you start thinking about the Germans, they're going wild with screen configuration everywhere, even here. I mean, you're not going to be able to play a video game. You still have to drive the vehicle and focus at the road. In turn radius, this is a large vehicle, so you expect to turn the wheel a few times to get this basically 3 and apart lane. Let's rock and roll. I'm not going to go too crazy, it's a red light. But while we're doing that, look at the gauge cluster. You can go through an array of different content here for the driver, and 15 inches of a heads-up display, and now that's 0 to 60. Stays smooth and quiet, other than hearing the Duramax engine through the car. The sound deadening is actually perfect. They just need to do a little bit more in the actual engine bay area. The performance is more than enough. The comfort is great. You have a pretty decent amount of storage, except for the front. They do kind of lack in this vicinity. You have plenty of charging ports. You got TVs, but you do have to option it. You have to option things like a panel moonroof. So there is some cons that definitely come into play, considering we paid over $10,000 to get some of these features, or right around $10,000 for these options. So is it worth a $93,000+ price? I mean, if I need something this large, maybe. But I don't know, I might consider dropping down a spec, going into the RS, and you're gonna get comparable features and it's gonna look a little bit more stylish. The magnetic ride control though is awesome, and I definitely like it a lot. And as for the smoothness, I mean, it definitely ticks the box to that. And even if you have any incline, you sit up so high, you literally don't ever have a problem with visibility. I just would see myself more renting a vehicle like this, because when I'm starting to go into a $100,000 price point, I personally don't need something this large. It's great if you're going state to state, smooth ride. You're gonna get a ton of range with this Duramax diesel. But I mean, let me know in the comments which way you would go. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out this next video right here.